comes a time in every cinemaniac's life where he discovers that one movie, that movie made just for him. He's immediately sucked into the magic and the wonderment of the filmmaking and the prowess. This film, it took me to another world. I was hooked from beginning to end, like no other film ever had me before. I've done it, guys. I found my greatest movie. In the late 70s and 80s, children's media was starting to go way downhill. Less nurturing and educational. Just mindless slapstick or corporate-owned properties to sell toys. Few tried to combat this, but then came the daring, game-changing short feature, You on Kazoo. After the marvelous, soul-ripping, technically innovative extravaganza known as You on Kazoo was released, still nothing changed. Kids' entertainment was still dumb, and it always will be. No one saw this stupid thing. Yet at the same time, there were tons more people, like maybe 10 of us, who showed this to our children to enlighten them. Since then, You on Kazoo has gained a reputation for being the greatest children's program of all time. When Fred Rogers first viewed it, he bowed down in front of his TV and sacrificed Daniel Tiger on an altar. Turns out he was a mistake. Our short opens with a group of 7 kids, often assumed to represent the 7 deadly sins, but I can't count that high, so that's for another day.
Ouch! Oh, hi.
Then our main character, Brett, turns, faces us, and says the most important thing in the short, and in the world.
Wait a minute! Who are you?
My name is Alvin Fwang.
The children are instantly confronted with a personal question. Children must determine who they are in a psychological sense and in a social setting. Next, Brett utters something that really reached out to my soul.
I'll tell you a secret. Sometimes I get a little quiet when I meet lots of new kids.
I instantly resonated with Brett. Hey, yeah, it's hard for me to make friends too. I keep telling everyone how Endgame is terrible and they should all go watch Satan Tango. Instead, here I am, lonely, talking about You on Kazoo. The greatest children's short of all time. You on Kazoo wastes no time and immediately makes a connection with me. The children. It understands how hard it is for young people to socialize. And the rest of the film seeks not only to answer that question, but as many questions as it possibly can. To help children with the oncoming existential ennui and crisis they'll one day discover as adults. And that is why You on Kazoo is the greatest children's film of all time. It's sad and depressing and makes sure that children feel like meaningless crap early on in their age. Then Brett shows us that he loves to play kazoo, as if this film couldn't strike another chord with me. It hits even closer to home by giving a positive portrayal of a kazoo player. See, when I was a kid, I used to play the kazoo too. For this I was shunned, outcast, hated just because I kazooed. I was bullied incestually. I had to sit in the back of the school bus and in the back of the classroom, even when I wasn't playing. I couldn't even get a drink of water at the normal drinking fountains, with a sign hanging above it that said, "For non-kazoos only." Some of my neighbors even tried convincing the state to make it illegal to be a kazoo player. I know what it's like to be a misfit, solely for doing what you love. Which just so happens for me and Brett to be playing the kazoo. This is why Brett is shy to make friends, because he thinks he knows exactly what will happen once he starts playing his kazoo. However, his new friends accept him with open arms and invite him to kazoo with them. Yuan Kazoo has broken social barriers with this move. Completely stripped down all bigoted forms of prejudice and hate one might have for kazoos. They show a world in which normal boys and girls can hold hands with kazoo-playing boys and girls. In 1989, this was unheard of, and likely spoke controversy against parents and households all over the nation. There isn't much detail, probably because the government was trying to cover it up. But I expect this is what happened, and now Yuan Kazoo is virtually seen by no one. The censors were afraid of what would happen if this message went to children. But they didn't care. They took the risk. Yuan Kazoo took the risk and changed the world, all because of its bravery. So then the kazoo kid, once he takes out his kazoo, blows a mean breath. A breath which made my jaw drop. He plays like Miles Davis on the kazoo that made love to my ear holes. All recorded flawlessly in one take, which not even concert films like Stop Making Sense can live up to. It was performed exceptionally. On the other hand, as Yuan Kazoo goes on, the film suggests a more darker motive after the children finally accept him. See, the kazoo is a crack pipe. It represents drugs or doing things you don't want to in order to fit in. After they partake in blowing the kazoo, the children are haunted by a strange invisible voice, in which they must shake their bodies in a cultish dance to make him disappear. I know what I said about the kazoo before contradicts this statement, but I think both theories are true. Yuan Kazoo is such a brilliant piece of art that it means two different things. It means anything. It means everything. There's duality all throughout this masterpiece. For instance, there are two kids named John. One is John, and the other is
Jonathan!
Slightly different, but eerily similar names. This could be compared to Robert Altman's Three Women. John is constantly questioning what to do and where to go. Jonathan, on the other hand, is hyperactive and ready for anything. He's much more impulsive and never questions what's going on. Perhaps his mind is too far gone now. One of the girls is captured in a side shot, a reference to Ingmar Bergman's Persona. She looks to be about 4 years old, however, when she speaks, it's the voice of an adult woman we hear. Obviously, this poor girl has been forced to grow up, and to cope with it, she kazoos. It also hints that there are deeper, more sinister intentions between our new 6 friends that turn our unsuspecting protagonist into one of them. Yuan Kazoo is also legendary for its diverse cast of actors. The film shows that a cis-straight white male can make friends with anyone regardless of race. Brett reaches out to black, Asian, Hispanic, ginger, all different kinds of unique children. Too bad they're all drug addicts. Should have thought that one through. The film pushes unity throughout the world. Each child represents one of the 7 continents of which they hail from. Africa, Asia, USA, Canada, South America, Europe, and Antarctica. By this point, Brett becomes even more engrossed in the peer pressure of his new friends. In the scene where they have a jam session, Brett is no longer playing his kazoo the way he wants. Instead, he's copying the sounds that the other kids make. And with it... You know, I think these kids found the genre more stupider than mumble rap. He copies their sounds on his kazoo, and Brett is now completely lost in copying and following the crowd. Suddenly, as if the film couldn't get darker enough, Yuan Kazoo takes a more existential turn thematically. Brett invites the audience to follow him with some one-on-one time.
Let's go over here. Just you and me.
Just me? Oh, Brett, okay. Oh, Brett, such a lovely day out. Such a nice place.
Good.
Did you just interrupt me?
I just wanted to say thanks, partner.
Whoa, whoa, hey! I don't know what kind of person you think I am, but I will not stoop down to that level after just meeting you. Just what are you planning, Brett? Mr. Kazoo player? So anyway, Brett sings a song about how we're his special friend. But it wasn't until my 40th rewatch until I really started to pick up on this meaning of the word special. The way Brett talks down to us, we are supposed to be a special child. In the world of the film, the camera personifies us in first person as a mentally handicapped child. And that's why Brett refers to us as his special friend. Yuan Kazoo is so inclusive that it even teaches about being friends with a special child. But the confounding pattern doesn't stop there. If you pay close attention, you realize that the only one out of the group who acknowledges us is Brett. Not only are we meant to represent a special child, but we're an imaginary friend at the same time. Brett's song at the end signifies him growing older and out of touch with his imaginary friend. He finally realizes that he has real friends now, and he has no time to play with his imaginary, mentally handicapped friend. After all, why would he want to play with us? We're not even real. Are we? Are we? Yuan Kazoo brilliantly blurs the line between fact and fiction. We are watching Brett on TV in a supposedly fictional setting. Yet in his world, we are the fictional ones. So what is real? Are Brett and his friends just characters in a short film? Or do we exist solely as figments in the imagination of the Kazoo kid? See, Brett was kind to the mentally handicapped kid who is us. And him saying goodbye to whoever represents him saying goodbye to his innocence and his goodness inside him. He's now following the crowd, doomed to kazoo and be a psychedelic consumer for the rest of his life. Brett has fit into the crowd all right. He's made friends. But at what cost? Is this Brett's only escape from the existential void that Nietzsche warned him about when he was so young? So thus we come to the mind-shattering ending that is likely to leave any kid lost in thought for hours and possibly needing therapy afterwards. But it's okay that the child needs therapy. It's important for them to acknowledge this stuff. It's important for these children's minds to come loose at the helms. It's important for these kids' minds to crumble and seek out therapy. They learn a lesson in which everyone must learn eventually. Brett matures and grows away from his special friend, who is us, of which he made such a strong connection with. And the moral of the story is, everyone who loves you will leave you. Life is meaningless, and you gotta get up and go on and play your kazoo, whether that be your passion or a crack pipe. What will you choose? As I conclude, Yuan Kazoo is one of the most brilliant and mature children's features of all time. It is the Citizen Kane of kids' movies. In fact, I consider it to be a movie, not just a kids' movie. So Yuan Kazoo is the Citizen Kane of movies. Many still haven't seen it, but if you need some convincing as to why it is regarded so highly in the film world, and why it deserves a Criterion release, here you are. You're welcome. Well, that's it for me. I've been Peter Fox, and I'll see you next time, partner. Remember to say hi to your special friend. Hello, special friend. We will always be... Okay, come on, look at me. Special friends. Mr. Tarkovsky, I thought you were my special friend, huh? What have you made? You only made Andrei Rublev and Mirror. It's not even called The Mirror. You couldn't even put a the in it. That's not smart, man. Screw you, man. Yuan Kazoo is the greatest thing ever. Brett, you're my special friend now. Sorry, Tarkovsky. You made a movie about a stalker. That's not cool, man.